and welcome to Metaphysical Happy Hour. I am your host, Cassie Clayton.
And I'm your co-host, Tracy Escobar, also known as Red Couch Medium.
Yes.
Hi!
Hello. So tonight we have a really awesome guest with us. Her name is Michelle Barr. And just a little bit about Michelle. Michelle is a transformational spiritual coach and spiritual advisor. She's a master healer, a professional psychic and medium, a mindset mentor, an energy medicine specialist, a spiritual teacher, speaker, author, and spiritual business expert. She has extensive training and experience in the intuitive and healing arts, including a doctorate in transformational coaching and a certification as a strategic intervention specialist. Yeah.
She's got a big resume.
She's got a
huge resume.
So without much further ado, welcome Michelle Barr.
Hello. It's great to be here.
Girl, your spiritual toolbox is like huge.
Yeah.
I've been doing this 14 years. I have grown a lot along the way.
Yes. And let's talk about that because everybody has a journey and everybody's a beginner somewhere. So I know Michelle personally. We've taken some classes together and I did a workshop with her, but I want to know your beginning. Like, were you born with it? How did it start? Give me the basics of the beginning, how your journey even began. I think that's a good place to start.
I know now that I've always been a healer and a helper and that I was an empath. But when you grow up as an empath, as you all know, you just think everybody processes the world that way. And then when you look back, you see that you were different or that you had these gifts. So coming into them, and a lot of times we're challenged early on. So I had a lot of that going on in my own life. I created and got into a very toxic marriage, then became a single mom really young. And I was just trying to find myself, as a lot of us do. We job hop and we come in and out of relationships in our life. And then I took really traditional routes first. So I went to school to become a therapist because I knew I was a healer and a helper, and was doing that for a while. And then I felt like I can't talk about the spiritual part. And I got called to seminary. I went to seminary and I became a hospital chaplain. And I was serving in the church in Texas, even doing a lot of those kind of things. And then I really got called into the energy medicine. And I knew there were tools that I couldn't use as a therapist under a license. And I got rid of my license and I was called to open a little healing center outside of Dallas, Texas, in my little community. And I just found my way into energy medicine and then coaching. And then I've been growing for the past 14 years. And it's a very personal and spiritual growth development journey that then turns into a business. So all along the way, I've had to find my way, but I just realized I've always been a helper and healer, and we just find different ways to express our purpose.
And now is business coaching your main focus now? What's your main focus in your business?
It really is. And if you would have told me 14 years or even 10 years ago, I would talk about spirituality, business, and money, I would have thought you were ridiculous because I was so bad at money. I was one of those, I don't want to look at my checkbook. I don't know how to charge. I'm giving things away for free. And then I became the broke healer with the very expensive hobby, and I created financial disaster for myself and my family. And I hired my first coach, who was a psychic medium healer, but she knew business. And I started learning, and then all the psychics, mediums, and healers started coming and saying, how come you're able to make this work? And I started coaching them. And then I realized I do have a very systemic brain, which is strategic. And I love teaching people. What I did was I ventured over into the coaching world, which was just booming at the time. And I saw the things they were doing that the healing world needed. And I brought the coaching strategies back to the healing world and I applied them, and they work really well for psychics, mediums, and healers. Then I started writing books and speaking on stages, and I became asked a lot to speak on spiritual business and became a spiritual business expert. And so I am a psychic, a medium, and a healer, and I use all those gifts with my clients, but I still get sought out the most to help all the other healers and intuitives get out there in the world, getting to do what they're made to do and making enough money to take care of themselves while they take care of everyone else.
Because it's true, just because you're a psychic medium doesn't mean you have the business aspect. That was something that I even had to learn. So how do you take these gifts and then create a business for it? So I think what you did was much needed in the community, right?
Yes, I love what you're bringing up, because in the beginning, I was a healer with a local business, hands-on, you get on my table. Then I was developing my psychic and mediumship abilities, and I was doing that, but I saw this greater need. And so I started using my gifts for my clients, while also, you all know that as you step out to build a business as yourself with your gifts, it gets into all your stuff. So they needed my help so they could get out in the world, not just business, but the personal and spiritual growth and development and healing and transformation. And my business has grown and evolved over the years. I've come in and out doing the psychic, medium, and healing, but I always come back to this because it's so needed. But the past few years, I was also training mediums and doing healing work. And so I really pull all of them together. I just led a retreat last weekend that was all healers, psychics, and mediums together, and it's all energy.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating. One of your things that you always talk about, I always call it your soapbox, right? Your soapboxes. And that goes into business, because all of us who start this journey, there's a belief system if we should charge or not. And some of us don't charge enough. And there's a lot of our listeners who are awakening and coming into that. And so they all have this belief system. If it's a gift, why do we charge? What would you say to those people?
That is a big one. And again, I would never have thought I would end up talking about it. It's become my soapbox, because they say what keeps you up at night is what you're supposed to go out in the world and do. And even I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that was my first entry into the spiritual world. I saw all these really gifted intuitives and healers that were broke. And sometimes they were homeless and their car was breaking down and they had to work jobs that were killing them. And yet they had these amazing gifts. And it just made me say, I have to help solve this problem. And I found in the community, it's even in the spiritual community, you get that backlash that people think they don't understand how it all works. And they think it's just a gift from God. If you just sit there, it'll just happen. And why wouldn't you give it to me for free? But one, if you're running a business because you want to do what you're made to do and nothing else, well, then it's a business and you have to make money to support yourself. And then you both know, like Tracy said, we've been in things together. We consistently have to invest in ourselves. People don't understand. I don't just open up and say, okay, here, let me just give you with no effort. I've sat in development circles. I travel around the world to get trained. I have to sit in meditation. I have to take care of myself. And you have to master your craft and sharpen that saw, because otherwise it is just chaos. It's that we were talking about being able to do it on demand as a service versus it's just coming in and it's random. And so there's a lot more to it, plus taking care of ourselves, because it takes a lot of energy. And there's this misconception. It's really a myth that I try to blow wide open. People say, well, in the past, healers always work for free. But actually, in the past, the whole community took care of the healers. They actually got the best and the first.
Oh, I did not know that.
The first and the best out of the storehouses. The Tibetan monks brought their blessing bowls and they filled them every day. And somewhere along the way, we decided we're not going to do that collectively. So now each person needs to pay for their own healing, but they don't. They don't work for free, and they really never have. My favorite one, I always have to say, and I have videos on it and everything because people always want me to talk about it. I say, don't make me talk about Mother Teresa. That's part of my soapbox, because you all know people always go, well, Mother Teresa. And in actuality, Mother Teresa was the CEO of a billion-dollar corporation, and she chose to serve the poor, but she could do that because she traveled everywhere by private jet and private car, and all her needs were met. And she takes an entourage with her. Same with Amma, the hugging saint. If y'all are familiar with her, they have to put 50 people up in hotels and travel the world. It takes money.
It
So it
does.
doesn't hold up that we work for free.
It does. I'm glad you bring those points across, because that's one thing that gets thrown at us a lot, right? But we both know I've invested a lot of money in my craft, right? And a lot of time and a lot of energy. And so that's why I charge what I charge. So I'm glad that we're talking about it so that people get an understanding. It's not like one day I woke up psychic and I put a sign out on my door, right? That's just not how it works, right?
No.
We've really invested time and energy and money to be the best that we can be for the community and for the people that we serve. That's how I see it, right?
Absolutely. And all of us that do this full time so we can serve the people that want and need us, we are continually practicing and mastering our craft. You and I were just backstage saying, what's next? Who are you studying with this year? Where are you traveling? What are you doing? We're constantly, I have not been without a coach since 2009. So I am consistently with coaches for business and tutors for my gifts and skills.
Yeah. A lot of people know that I'm writing my book. And so just so you guys know, I took a workshop with Michelle and Thomas John to help me guide me. Like, we all need guiding. And just so that workshop was phenomenal. I think you have another one coming up if anybody's ever interested. When is that one coming up?
I do. Thomas John and I are doing that again in February and March of next year, and it's open right now. We're filling seats right now. And I love you bring that up because I have 2 books, and neither one of them I wrote alone. I had book coaches and speaking coaches, and the coaches helped me with both. And then those books, I say every medium needs a book. So I'm glad you're finishing yours because your book gets out there and serves people and touches people, and it brings you clients.
Agreed 100%. Let's talk about your books. What are the names of your books and what are they about? Let's tell the reader.
My first book is all the mindset and the energy and the universal laws that I had to start living in order to start and grow my business. And it's called The Entrepreneur's Guide to Taking Action. And then my second book, I wrote what I had to do to turn my life's calling into a profitable business and one that supports and sustains the life that I want to live. And it's called From Calling to Cash. And I'm working on a third book now, all about working for spirit as a psychic medium and healer. So it's a great way to get out there.
That's a good segue into, because, my passion is mediumship, and backstage, we were just talking about your mediumship journey. So kind of want you to share how you stuffed it and didn't do it, and then how spirit led you out of that again. So I think it was a really interesting story. I'd like you to share it.
I love that because I'm aware that a lot of people are healer, psychic, and medium or combinations. So I knew I was a healer from the beginning, and I had a healing center and worked in energy healing modalities. Then my psychic gifts opened up and mediumship would happen. And I sat in development circles and I was interested, but it wasn't at the top of my list. And I kept saying, for different of my own personal reasons, oh no, but I'm not that. Now my spiritual friends make fun of me because they're like, oh yeah, we thought you weren't a medium. And I would always say, but I'm not that, and I'm not doing that. And then I kept building my business. And then 4 years ago, someone invited me, come to LA to this mediumship workshop. And she's amazing. I'd never heard of her. She was a UK famous medium. And so, of course, spirit was like, you're going. And I kept saying, I'm not going. I'm busy. But I follow the breadcrumbs, and I showed up there, and spirit had in store for me. I just sat down and she started talking, and it was like, oh no, I'm supposed to be doing this. And this is my teacher. It was so overwhelming because I didn't even know who she was. And I thought, my friend said, just come to LA and do this fun thing. It blew it wide open. I went to Arthur Findlay College, which had been on my bucket list for 7 years, where I discovered that, I am actually a medium, and it's a really strong gift. And I see twofold. I went out on platform and I trained in my mediumship gifts. And at the same time, I built a big mediumship community, and all the mediums then started hiring me to help them with their businesses because they needed these strategies and structures that I was teaching all the psychics and healers. And I helped them write their books, and I helped them with their businesses and all of that. And at the same time, it grew me personally and in my connection with Source, because I was telling you, platform mediumship was the most terrifying thing I've ever done. I'm already a public speaker, and I've spoken on stage in front of 1,000 people and more. That wasn't scary. But this was scary, and I don't get scared easily. And it grew me to like, well, then I can do anything. But it made me trust spirit in a way I've never had to trust spirit before, because, you know, mediumship is such a trust fall, because it's either right or wrong. Psychic and energy, you can still kind of dance around, and media and people are hanging on it. They're healing and their need for it. And it grew me like nothing else. And spirit came calling. So for 4 years, it came to the forefront, and it's been back there. And then I started training mediums in their craft while I was helping them build their business. So there are different times in your life when the different pieces will come together in different ways. And if you'll listen to spirit, the other thing about mediumship is Lilydale, which is a spiritual medium community. I've been called there. I go there every summer, and the whole town is all mediums. So it's part of me beyond even this lifetime. And it's just a calling that you have to answer.
You do. Have you read at the stump? Did you do the stump?
Did
you read at the stump?
I have. And that was very scary. I did.
Scary. People don't understand it. They think mediumship's easy, but sometimes when you get called to do these big things, like the stump is a big thing at Lilydale when you're a medium, just to go up to the stump and read. Yeah, I chickened out. I didn't do it, but that's a big deal. Like,
well, right? It's still there. It's still there waiting for you. And you're right. The stump is like the holy grail of mediumship. I actually got pulled up on the stump. I was chickening out, and they pulled me up. Somebody called me out, and they needed people, which I knew it was spirit. Yeah. That was very scary. 100 or more people watching. But then it's one of those after, like, I read at the stump, like you can never get over it.
Can't take that away.
Look up Lilydale so you can go to the stump and do it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. That's probably on my bucket list. I mean, it is. I did my first public demonstration. That was the scariest thing of my life. Go ahead, Cassie. What?
Oh, I was just going to say, let's just chat about the fact that spirit always finds a way. If you're really called to do something, it's always going to find a way to make it happen.
Because they said that's unusual. We would never pull people out of the audience. But it happened that one of my mentors was at Lilydale, and I didn't even know it. So see, spirit had already orchestrated it. And she told them, and they tapped me on the shoulder and said, "We're low. We need another medium." And they pulled me up there because my mentor was there. That just doesn't happen. That's spirit.
That's just all spirit right there. I feel sick for you. I would have been like, oh no.
Because if you can get through that, you can get through anything. You're right. Spirit always finds a way. So I've learned just to follow the breadcrumbs and not fight it. Because when you do, your life becomes so much more abundant.
It does. I think one of my scariest moments was It is. One of my scariest moments was doing a demonstration with Colby Rebel. I mean, that's scary. It was the scariest thing in my entire life. And I've done it twice now.
I was there. I was there when you did it in Dallas, and it was amazing, but I bet you were scared. Yeah.
Scared to death. My knees were shaking. I could hear my knees
there.
So the fact that we put ourselves out there is what people don't understand. It's been blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of tears, because you grow through it, right? You don't just wake up one day and I'm a medium. There's a lot of healing. At least for me personally, it was a double journey. It's like, because you're facing your blocks. And I know you work with that with your clients. We all have these blocks that are keeping us from being our best, right? Like, what's the number one block you see? What do you think that is?
Yeah, I love that you're talking about that because that's part of the work that we have to do. It's not just, well, if I learn how to have a business as a medium and then I learn my gifts and skills, you have to learn those two, but then you have to deal with all your own stuff that comes up. And the best mediums, the thing they bump up against that's a block is, am I good enough yet to do this? It's that fear, like you and I both have bumped up against, because I'll be looking at them like, are you crazy? Why are you not out there? You're so good. And they just need one more person to tell them, because it's scary every single time you do mediumship. Healing and psychic are not even as scary, but it's also the most rewarding.
It is. I tell people, like, even before, I've done 1,000+ readings now in my career, and I still get nervous every single time. I'm still not to that level where I can just blow it off and be confident. I still get that little feeling like, okay, what if this is the time it doesn't work, right? It's still hidden within inside of me, right? I don't know.
When I was training for platform, and one of my mentors is a platform medium, and she is in her 80s now. So she's been a medium since she was young. So I thought, she's done this for a lifetime. She makes it look so easy, like I can do it with one hand tied behind my back. And I asked her one time, when will the nervousness go away? How do I get rid of it? And she said, well, you never will. It will never go away. And then I said to her, the next thing I said to her, which you all can relate, why would anybody want to do this? Like, some days I would say, what am I doing to myself? I'm going to run from this hotel right now. And I tell myself, you can run right now. You can leave. But then you stay.
And then you stay, and then you do it. You're like, I did it. And then you feel this sense of accomplishment. So I guess that's the thing about coaching. You just got to, I tell people, a lot of people get stuck in, and I know training is important. I'm not saying that. But there are people who never do it because they just want to keep training. I got it because I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. There has to be a point where you put yourself out there and you get action, and you have to do it because you get so much from doing it too and learning, right? So I always have to tell my students, you got to get out of the nest. You have to at least go just do it and practice, right? What do you think?
That is the biggest block. That is the biggest block. And people think they're not ready yet. And so what I tell people, because this is what you and I do now, you create two different spaces. In this space, I'm the expert and you're paying me, and I show up every day and do readings. And over here, I am the student and I'm learning at my next level, and I'm practicing with people at my level, and you're both, because people will say, well, once I'm the best, then I'll go out and do it. But you have to be doing it now, because you'll never learn until you do the real paid readings. Because don't y'all also know, reading for other mediums, psychics, and healers in a classroom or workshop setting, easy.
Different, yes.
And then you get in the real world. I did my first platform in a small town in Texas, and I got in there and I got hit with the energy. It's like I'm in Walmart trying to get into these people's energy, and it is not easy. So you've got to be doing that for real with real people who pay you. And then over here, I'm practicing, and then I get better. Then I bring it back to my clients. So yeah, that is the number one mistake I see people make. They're waiting until they get better. They should be working now. And that's something I jumped in and did. Oh, I'm a healer. I learned here. I'm selling my healing. And those people got benefit, even though now I would say, oh, it was messy and I didn't do as good as I could do now, but I did what I could and they got benefit.
Yeah, no, it's true. There's so much you can learn from a real reading. There's so much. I always I teach that we have a Rolodex, and you don't fill your Rolodex unless you're doing real readings, right? Because there's something new every time. Because, you know, when we get into circles with other mediums, we tend to be with the same mediums a lot. I don't know if you found that. Like, I started going to LA with Colby all the time, and I'd have the same people. You start to learn their people, right? So you turn, right? So doing real life readings was such a change for me. And I think giving TikTok some credit, when I finally got to a certain status on TikTok and I was getting booked, it was the scariest thing of my life. I was doing like 7 readings a night. But that gave me the confidence and the experience that I never would have gotten from a classroom. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It
right?
does, because when I got to a point the beginning of January last year, and I was really in that space of, if I'm going to lead with this, instead of it just happening when it happens, and I'm going to put myself out there professionally more, I need to know if I can do it. And Thomas John had observed me in a reading and critiqued me with real people. They filled the room with people I didn't know. So he observed me, and that helped. And then he said, go do 100 readings and charge regular, whatever your regular price, go do 100. You have to. And it changed everything, because I was like, oh, I'll do one. Oh, now I'll wait. And I knocked out 100. I went out and I had to do it.
Yes. And it changes.
Doing them, and it builds your confidence. Someone is saying, do y'all have trouble reading for your family? It is harder for your family and friends. When I'm reading for friends, I always tell Spirit, show me something I don't already know. Because we start knowing things. For family, it more happens if there's a need, but if they sat down and said, do a reading, it would be harder. I've done more spontaneous for family, where the connection's there and it comes in. And some people will say they won't read for friends or family. It just depends, but it is harder. And here's why. We're fighting our mind the whole time. If we can learn to control our mind, we can be great mediums. And so it's your mind wanting to be helpful and saying, oh, I know that about them. Oh, I know this. And it's just our mind. Otherwise, we would have no trouble if we were really sourcing it. What do you think?
No, one of the most aha moments I've ever had, and we talked about this backstage, was Lisa Williams. Lisa Williams teaches about the brain. So I took a workshop and she taught about the brain. And it was an aha moment, because our brain wants to fill in the dots a lot, right?
Yes.
And so that's what happens when you read for friends and family. The brain will slip in. And so doing a pure mediumship connection when you don't know anything about anybody, you trust what's coming in, because your brain can't really fill much in because they don't know anything. So with a friend and a family, that's where the whole gray line is, because your brain gets involved. So it was an interesting moment. Speaking of Lisa Williams, you just finished a class with Lisa Williams.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us about that.
That's another reason to do paid readings, because all I know is they paid me and I know their first name, and I don't go look for anything.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up that phone or pressing the Zoom button and they're showing up. And when you know nothing about them, it's actually easier.
It's easier. It is.
You'll also practice bumping up against those skeptics and the closed ones and the difficult ones, but you know nothing about them.
And that makes it easier, to be honest, because you trust the information you're getting. You're like, this is what I'm getting. And you learn to trust it. So it's easier when you don't know anything. I agree 100%.
You talk about trust, and I always say, I've learned it is a trust journey ×3. We learn trust yourself, trust spirit, and trust the process. And we're constantly having to trust. Every time I get on the platform, it's like, is Spirit going to be here this time? And they teach me Spirit's always there. They're never not there. And I'm still, what if nobody shows up and I'm just standing there alone looking dumb?
But that never happens, right?
It never happens. But your mind wants to say, what if nobody shows up? What are you going to do then? And your mind does fill in the dots. If you've ever seen where this has happened to me, and I've seen it happen to others, you're getting yes, yes, yes. Well, then your mind will come in and start making up all these other pieces. And all of a sudden they're like, no, no, no. I'll say, oh, my mind just wrote a whole novel and none of it's true. Let me go back to the last yes. And then let me get back into spirit. But your mind's like, oh, a good story. Let me solve it for you. Yes. I bet this, I bet that. And then you're totally wrong.
It fills in the blanks. It really does. I forgot what part of the brain she taught, but that's what she said. It'll fill in the blanks for you. And then you've got that fight or flight.
Your conscious mind is what gets in the way the most.
Yeah.
Yes. It's the hardest part.
Backstage, you were talking about testing, because I've been tested. And so you just said you had been tested. Tell me about that experience being tested. I think Best American Psychics is who you've tested under?
Yes, and I was really interested because I'd heard other people would be tested in different programs. And it was kind of that last, like, I would like to be tested by someone who doesn't know me at all, that's an expert in that, and just see what they say. We always want that next validation. And I saw some people, so then Spirit brings into your awareness some people that were part of Best American Psychics. And I liked what Shay Parker was doing over there. So I went through the process, and you have to apply. And because then they promote you and give you a stamp of approval and all that, not just testing. And so I had to apply, and I had to give them all my social media and background check. They really vet you thoroughly, but then they have people call you, and you don't even get the phone number or anything. You just pick up the phone, and they're on the other end, and then you give readings, and then they rate you, and they fill that out and go back to them. You have to do a couple of those, then you have a personal interview. So it felt really good doing it. There were moments my mind was like, of course you're not going to pass. You haven't been doing this in this way long enough. Who do you think that you're going to be the professional that tests? And then I did test well, because I had to fight my mind and get my mind right. And it was a great experience, because it gave me that next level of confidence. And then it gets you out there. It gives you some kind of credentials for people to find you.
Yeah. I tested under Lisa Williams, and I remember just testing. It was live. We had live people in front of us, but they sat there they couldn't say yes, they couldn't say no. They were blank faced. They covered their hands. It was like, gosh, I hope I'm not going down this wrong rabbit hole, right? Because you're searching for validation so bad when you're doing it. But it was the scariest thing in my life. And when I found out I passed, like you said, it's the validation. Okay, someone thinks I can do this, right? Because we just don't think we can do it. So
you're not getting the validation that you would even get in a paid reading.
No.
It really does. And when I went to Arthur Findlay, they did all kinds of crazy things. You were blindfolded. And it was musical chairs. And then they gave me a number, and I had to write my reading on paper just from a number, and someone in the room had the same number. It really tests, and you have to get your mind out of the way. It was amazing experience.
It is. It's amazing what we've gone through. Any questions out there, Cassie?
We do have one. It's how would I get into these classes?
So different things we have going on. You can contact myself and Tracy online. And I think Facebook, we're on social media posting what we're doing, and just send me a direct message on Facebook. And I also have a lot of clients that are teaching. Are you doing development classes, Tracy? I think you do that. And also look for both. Some people do better with one or the other. Look for your coach, either to get in a class, or like Tracy does, for personal mentoring. Some of my mediumship clients, they will take one-to-one clients personally. So Tracy does both of those. You can send me a private message. I just finished a retreat I did with a bunch of people, spirit workers, and I teach different classes. I'm doing right now, we just started what I call an 888 mastermind, which is personal and professional growth and development and training for psychics, mediums, and healers. And I can send you information about that. Both of us know all about all the different ways to find the classes. And there's a lot out there. And aren't you surprised all the time? People are like, I know I need some development classes or a development circle, and I don't even know where to find it. And I'm over in this world, like, I can give you 20 right now that you can buy today, but people just don't know.
They just don't know.
I'm happy to be a resource, because all of that is out there. And that's what I've done. I've sat in people's circles online and in person, and I've attended trainings, all of that.
What's really interesting is COVID shifted all of us, right? Because before COVID, not at least for me, I wasn't doing anything online. I felt the need to have to teach in person. But with COVID happening, there's been a shift in the whole community, I think. And more of us have a deeper reach now. Like, my circles, there's nobody from Dallas taking my circles. It's from everybody all over the country, like except for Cassie. She's the only Dallas person I have. But everybody else is coming from all over the country because we've moved online and we're more accessible than ever to people everywhere.
We are. I saw that during COVID, especially with, like we were talking about, Lilydale and Arthur Findlay College. Traditionally, they do everything in person. It's a destination and you travel there. And now they had to start offering online. And that was a big learning curve. And all the UK mediums now have learned how to teach their short courses online, and all of us. Because the other side of that, like you said, I was already doing a lot online and global because my clients are all over the world. But not only did you start doing more online, but all these people learned how to use Zoom and how easy it was that didn't know. And they might have thought, I don't want to be in an online class. And then they saw, oh, this is better than I thought. It opened that end of it. In 2020, I was busier than ever. I taught all kinds of things online.
Yes. And then it even pushed the paradigm of people in readings. A lot of people thought, I'm not going to get a reading online, right? And now almost 100%. And there's some people who still want in person, but almost 100% are on Zoom now. It's just,
my readings were 100% on Zoom or on phone, unless a special circumstance.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. And even healing. I mean, you can do all of that online, especially because of Zoom. I mean, Zoom opened all of that up even more. Now, I still love to travel. You and I were all three of us traveled and did one in person. And that was fun. I still do those because it's a different energy and you meet people. Like we all got to know each other and all those other cool people that were in our group, and being with a mentor in person. So I still plan those, and I want all that to open up again, but the online can happen just as much.
For one last question. I just had a reading yesterday, so I think it's just it. So I have a lady who's a nurse and who's about to quit her job just for her own personal reasons with the vaccine and everything. She is a quantum healer. Like, what do you tell people about quitting their job and taking that leap of faith? And, any advice for those people?
That's a great example, because I have a client who's a medium that we started tapping into her desire. And I believe universal law that wherever there's a desire, a way has already been made. She was miserable as a nurse.
Yes.
She was living in like Minnesota or somewhere. And when we tapped into her desire, she wanted to do mediumship. She wanted to live in Florida. And a couple months later, she relocated and she moved to Florida into a residential community of 55 plus, where now they all want her to read for them. And she quit her job as a nurse. Now, I won't ever tell people definitely quit your job immediately, but tons of my clients come out of their jobs, and you can do it fast or slow. It can happen either way. So I say you get really clear. I haven't had a job since 2006. And so I know you can have a full-time, profitable, sustainable business. People have different levels of risk, but once you make a decision, you can start building it now. I have clients right now with big corporate jobs building their business alongside. And yes. And
I still have a corporate job.
And you can build it because you can build it to whatever level you want. Exactly. But what happens is once you start being it, spirit starts coming in and helping you get out of the job, if that's what you want to do. So I will tell you, after hundreds of clients, and I'm talking clients who've left six-figure jobs, big jobs. Lawyers come to me a lot because they're all mediums, which has been interesting. But people with big jobs in tech, IT, all of that. And during COVID, people woke up, like even you were like, oh, wait, I have a book and I got to get it finished.
Yeah.
People like never before were more serious about it. You can quickly start turning that around. So I would say, don't say I'll start when I'm ready to quit my job. Start building the business, learn how to do it, build it. Some of my clients don't have a lot of time, but they can take a few clients.
Yeah.
And then you'll work your way out of your job. It'll all work out. Spirit will do it.
Spirit will do it. Yeah. 100%
I see this
agree.
question. What is your preferred way to read? I'd love to hear from you too, because A lot of people say Zoom. I love phone because I'm not distracted by having to look at you. And I doodle and I look up and my pen is writing things. I prefer phone, but I'll do Zoom if they ask. So I really love a phone reading where I don't have any visual clues and I don't have to make eye contact with you, but I can do Zoom.
Yeah, I enjoy Zoom. I prefer Zoom, but I tell people, because that's gotten some flashback that people say you're reading cues. I can do phone, it's not a problem, but I like the personal interaction. That's just something that I prefer. I like in person too, but Zoom has been my.
I do love in person, but I know that Zoom and phone are just as effective. And can
they are
more effective sometimes because it's a better environment without all the other things. So great question. People will have their
and I have to say I prefer Zoom as well. Because you do
a
have
lot
that
of people do. Yeah.
I only like in person because I want to give you a hug. I'm a hugger. And so I can't hug you through the screen. But yeah, Zoom is my go-to now. I prefer Zoom.
What I found is I thought I loved having a local office. I haven't had one now in years, but you can serve a lot more people when you don't spend all that time getting ready, driving, waiting, seeing the clients driving. And I just realized I can serve a lot more people by not having a physical office and people all over the world. So I haven't had a physical office in years, but I will do in person sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing because before COVID hit, I was feeling the need to have an office. So I was looking for office space, just felt the need for some people to come. And then that COVID changed the whole paradigm. I agree.
Now people are like, I don't need to drive over there, but they didn't know before. And people have misconceptions when they don't know how this works. They want the best reading and they don't understand it can be just as good, if not better. Some of the best readings, most of them I've ever had, they're with people that don't live near me. When people have read for me, they've all been by phone or Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. I have some amazing readings. Yeah. But there's those old school people. Like next Friday, I'm driving all the way to Waxahachie to do a reading because she just insisted, well, I'm going to charge you more to drive an hour and a half, but okay. But there's just
Waxahachie is where I did my first paid platform, and they were open to it. It sold out.
Yes.
But, it's a little town in Texas, but
a little town, yes. So,
and it was in an in-person platform. It was good.
And I also have this family from Alabama who travels all the way to Texas to see me. I'm like, I really could do this on Zoom. They're like, nope, we're coming. I'm like, okay.
Now that I'll do because people come for VIP days to work with me all day.
Yes.
And if you want to come for the day and you want to come to me, I will meet with you in person.
You will meet in person? Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting.
I have a client for 6 months who lives 5 miles from me, and we only had dinner together once. We did not meet in person.
See? It's just not necessary. So I think, there's been a big shift.
Okay, I'm shuffling my cards.
Are you up? All right. Are we getting ready to start some readings?
Yes. We do have one person who's already left us a comment saying that they would like one. So if anybody else, we're going to start with Julie. But if anybody else is open for a reading, please leave us a comment and let us know.
Tina said she wanted a reading. So, Tammy. Why am I saying Tina? Tammy wanted a reading, and then Julie. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to let you do Julie first because I know Julie. I know her personally. So I'm going to let you two take this one.
Okay, Julie.
And I'm going to tell you when I get to, Julie. Don't worry.
Well, with Julie, I am using my color cards, which I love, the secret language of color, because I use color a lot.
I have those cards too.
And healing and psychic. So the color that came up for you is silver. Be persistent. And then when I feel into the energy of that, I feel this urgency, like whatever it is that you're coming in and out of that you feel you need to be persistent about, then other energies come in and they're trying to affect you or tap it down, tamp it down. And it keeps saying, you've got to be persistent. Like this energy rises up in you, but it's this wave, and that you're really feeling strongly like this is you learning to hold your energy. So they're showing me a beach ball says, here I am. And then everything, the wind and other people just bat it all around. But when you're that tree with the roots, the wind can come and blow and you stand firm. So there's something right now. I feel it in my solar plexus, which is your power center of don't let other people take your power. Do you understand this about be persistent?
So I'm actually going to follow that up with the card that I pulled for her is Tiger's Eye. And Tiger's Eye is all about that solar plexus and self-confidence and knowing your worth and believing in yourself. And so that message just rolls right into that, which is, you know, and what I love about the imagery of this card, it's like there's actually like the person is standing actually really small in the background, but the amount of power that's coming out of them is just like whoosh. So, you know, just remember to have that confidence about yourself, because you're gonna, as you do that more and more, you're gonna see people are gonna be able to see that light shining out of you even more.
Spirit validates. I love that. It's like our cards tie in, and I was feeling that solar plexus, and I wear the Tiger's Eye for my solar plexus all the time.
Do you? So Julie, I got creative wonderment. You have to follow your passion. You have, you know, I feel like you don't always put yourself first. And so hopefully that this reading gives you some validation that it's time for you, and it's time to follow where you're being led and the gifts that you have. And like the card is all about gifts and following the passion behind it and choosing you and climbing the stairs to success and doing it. So I'll leave it at that because it all fits.
It does. It does.
It does.
All right. And then our next one is going to go is Tammy.
Hi, Tammy. And then I have an Irene after that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Tammy, I'm just curious if there is a Tina related to you or in your world, because I keep looking at your name Tammy and I keep wanting to say Tina. There's an energy of it there. So I'm just checking to see if there is a Tina, if you understand that in spirit or in person.
Interesting. So for Tammy, the
go ahead.
There you go. So the card that I pulled for Tammy is Ametrine. And so what I actually love about, so it is about balancing energies and it is about balance. But one of the things that about Ametrine is that it's actually a combination stone. It's a combination between amethyst and citrine. And so what I feel like whenever this card pulls up, it's kind of that combination between the two stones energies. And so amethyst is all about psychic and psychic protection, whereas citrine is all about joy and abundance. And so I feel like the more it's like this inspiration of kind of going between the two. It's like you have that joy and abundance that's coming in, and you're protected in where you're and how you're bringing that out.
Nice. I'll go next really quick. So I got the card moving forward, and it's really interesting because this has come up a lot with me this week about moving on and moving forward and the difference. And moving on seems to negate our past, but moving forward doesn't negate it. So I could tell you that's like moving forward, don't look in the rearview mirror. I would appreciate the lessons in the past that it's come. It's got you where you're at today. But get ready because positive change is coming, and just keep one step in front of the other and keep moving in a forward direction, honoring the past and everything that it's done for you. It's a different energy when you say moving forward than moving on. So I feel like some shifts and some changes have come just recently. And so understanding the power within you and understanding the journey ahead of you is going to be a fabulous one. So positive change is coming.
Yes. And so as I was saying, I kept looking at your name and you've been commenting a lot. And then I kept wanting to say Tina and I kept getting Tina and I couldn't stop saying it. And so then I asked you, is there a Tina around you? So I was feeling that name. Then the card that I got, and all of a sudden it's like my throat chakra is really tight. Like I'm choking on my words or there's something I need to say and I'm holding back. And the card I got for you is brown and it's established boundaries. Mm-hmm. So something about you establishing those boundaries, and I feel it like something you need to say, and where you might say things and then you try, like you're strong, but you say things. And then if people, I feel like you're empathic and you can feel other people. So then you get uncomfortable and you kind of try to clean up their energy. Like, oh, wait, I didn't really fully mean it. Like you sugarcoat it after. And they're like, you need to be like this right now with whatever this is, and then hold it. And then your throat starts closing up, and this establishing boundaries, like take care of yourself first. It's that rich brown soil and the plant thriving and growing. Yes, all the time. So it's this energy of I'm strong. So like when you're on your own, you know you're going to say it, and then you feel the other people and you start cleaning it up. And that's then other people are overcoming your boundaries. And don't y'all find when people show up in a group like this, you get similar messages? Because again, this is giving your power away and letting other people kind of bat you and your energy around.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So Irene wants a love reading. Irene, love reading, please. When will love find me? When will love find me for Irene on TikTok?
Irene, when will love find me? Mm-hmm. Really quickly, just as you're asking it, because my mind didn't jump in yet, I kept seeing 11, which can be, I mean, next month is the 11th month. And so I feel like if you understand, there are already things in your orbit, and they're showing me now something I had to teach a client this week. People are already in your orbit and they're drawn to your energy, but then your push and pull or your in and out energy can keep them from fully coming in. And when you can shift your energy, all of a sudden she shifted her energy when I was showing her this. And then all these clients showed up to pay her that had been in her orbit, nobody committing. So I feel like it's already there in the swirl in your orbit. And because they're showing me 11, it's like, yeah, November, you shifting your energy can really learn about shifting your energy to bring what's already in your orbit to you.
Mm-hmm. I get gratitude. And so it's all about vibration for me. So working through gratitude and just being grateful for the things that you have, even the little things, and raising that vibration. Because I feel like when you raise your vibration, you start attracting the things that are ready for you and then your orbit, right? It's really interesting that the card I got, I'm going to go here, it's like the bright light of the orbit, and you're ready, you're going to attract it. So make sure you're not repeating patterns. Make sure you've done some of your own self-work, and the lessons that you've learned in the past, you're not going to take into the new one, but it's about raising your vibration and being happy from within, and then you're going to attract the right person. I agree. I'm in the November, December range too, just like Michelle, but put yourself out there, be open to the experience. And in the meantime, you just keep growing yourself. What you got, Cass?
I got the card Word of Foresight, which is essentially the message with that is to be gentle with yourself. Mm-hmm. And again, it does talk to that, or it does speak to making sure that you've given yourself the time to heal, mm-hmm. and that you really learned those lessons, but also by saying, okay, I release that and I'm ready to move forward.
Exactly.
So it's all energetic work now. It's not that there's no one out there for you. We're all saying it's energetic work. And Rhodochrosite's a great one for that love, bringing in love.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. Anybody else? I have some on TikTok.
I see too. Vanessa would love a reading.
Vanessa.
All right.
Aw. Let me pull the card. Ooh. So I got the Phoenix. It's about rising and new beginnings for you, Vanessa. So things are shifting, things are changing, and it's the Phoenix, it's beautiful. So understanding how beautiful you are, self-worth, self-love, and that you're coming out of like a cycle of closure, right? So it's starting to be new beginnings, begin your new life, begin your new journey, begin the newness, right? I think the Phoenix is such a beautiful symbol. So take
It
that one.
is. And
When you get off this call, I would Google spiritual meaning of the Phoenix and see if that resonates with you any. But it's all about new beginnings and coming out of the fire, like you're coming out of it, and it's there's light on the other side. What you got?
just as Spirit has been doing, I pulled white, lighten up.
Mm-hmm.
And lighten up is not, in this case, how I was feeling it was not lighten up like lighten up. It's lighten up like you're shedding layers. And then she said the Phoenix rising. You're shedding layers and levels, which allows your vibration to get higher. So don't reach down and pick those things back up. You're that Phoenix rising out of the ashes. Don't grab what's already burnt away and try to pick it back up again. Lighten up that white. White comes in and it can hold all colors. Also, there is a feather in here, and they're bringing my awareness. So you may be someone who gets feathers from Spirit, or someone you love in Spirit or know in Spirit brings feathers. So kind of that's an extra fun way. Plus the Phoenix is a bird with feathers. So be looking for feathers, but it's really the white light can hold all the colors. So really be that prism and let all of that come through you.
For sure. And the card that I pulled was the Ruby card. And I just love this card because it's all about light. And it's also about like, it's okay to reach out for support in your journey. Like it's okay to reach out and let people in and let people help you. They want to connect with you. It's okay.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Julie chimed in and said, yes, that's so awesome. She needed to hear that. I've been telling her that. There you go.
Her. Yeah. That's awesome. Anybody else? We got time, maybe one more. I got 3 minutes.
One more, Terry Phillips.
Terry. All right. I'll let you guys go first.
What you got, Michelle?
Let's see. I'm getting the card. Cherry, live an extraordinary life. And what I feel with this is you've really been kind of, the word they're saying is grappling. So it's like you've just been doing some soul searching, and things have been coming in front of you where people might say to you, it's enough. You have a good life. Why do you want more? You're fine. You know, what can you expect with COVID, or what can you expect with the world? And yet you like want the cherry on top, and you're really feeling in, and give yourself permission to feel into this better and more. It's not selfish. It'll actually benefit everyone when you have better and more. So it's just been like nothing's big wrong. And if you tried to tell your friends and family around you, you can't put words to it because it's like an inner calling. They're showing me when you make a pearl, the grit rubs and rubs and rubs, and it makes the pearl. And you've just got this grit inside of you. Like, I can't even say, people don't know what I'm talking about, but trust, they're saying, trust the grit, because the grit is bringing you this pearl. And then you're going to go, oh, that's what it is. That's what I want. So be gentle with yourself and let yourself be in that place, but stay in the grit and really tune into what you want so you can have that extraordinary life, the cherry on top. There's never a time you can't have it. The economy, the world, the president, what people are saying, any of that.
Very
You
nice.
can have it.
You can have it.
Absolutely. And the card that I pulled was Amber, and she literally is sitting there like this.
Yeah.
So, and it, you know, when you are feeling those moments where you are more stressed out or you're trying to feeling like you're being pulled down, it's just like, just take a deep breath and just let it go. If you're thinking about picking up those things again, just take a breath and remind yourself you don't have to carry any of that with you anymore.
Yeah. And I got that you're seeking. You're on a seeking journey, either seeking some knowledge, seeking answers, seeking. So the card that I got for you is the seek knowledge card. It's like seek, find the teachers, find the books, find the things, like delve in to your search, right? I feel like we're all led. We all got here because we were led somehow, right? We all had inspiration. My thing is, I feel like spirit inspires us, and either we listen to the inspiration or we let it go and then it skips, right? So listen to what you're being inspired to, listen to what you're being drawn to. Obviously, Terry, I think you watch this every single time, so you're into this kind of thing. So maybe you're being called to do something with that. So seek out the knowledge, seek out the book, seek what you're seeking for. All right. And that's a wrap, lady. So Michelle, where can people find you?
You can find me at michellebarrmedium.com. And you can also find me on Facebook because I'm on there every day. I've got a big community there you can connect with, and I'm showing up and inspiring and motivating on my personal page, which is facebook.com/Michelle B. Barr. Connect with me, send me a private message, see what I have going on. I'm happy to be a resource for you.
Yeah.
You can also, when you go to my website, you can see my books that we talked about, and you can get a free chapter of those books before you decide if you want to get the book.
Yeah. And I can attest, I've taken some of her stuff, and so her content is very valuable. So I would suggest anybody looking into this to go check her stuff out. And as for me, you can reach me at theredcouchmedium.com, Facebook, The Red Couch Medium, TikTok, The Red Couch Medium, and Instagram, The Red Couch Medium, if you're looking for a reading. And Cass, where can I find you?
You can find me at Stargazers Unite, stargazers.com, or Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under stargazers.unite. I help people and other light workers build their brand. So that is what I do. And as far as Metaphysical Happy Hour goes, you can find us at metaphysicalhappyhour.com. We are on Instagram and Facebook. We also have, after the show, this will be aired on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, Pandora, all podcast platforms. So follow us on any of those platforms to stay tuned.
Michelle, thanks for being with us. It was a pleasure. Yes.
Thank you so much. That was so much fun.
Yes. And then, all right, till we meet again, everybody. Have a great night.
Yes.
Bye.
Good people now.